In 2000, we had about 100 employees. We lost
Wow, that's a big
huge,
shop.
yeah, it was a big shop. We lost three customers. All of them went overseas, all the same time period.
Oh
And
gosh,
so we
that's
had to make
brutal.
a decision, um, completely downsize, reinvent the wheel, go after the complicated work.
Welcome to the Machine Shop Mastery Podcast, where we uncover the stories behind successful machine shops and their owners. By interviewing current and former shop owners, we dig deep to unveil their secrets of success and the struggles and challenges they've overcome on their paths to building thriving shops. We aim to elevate how important the machining industry is and inspire others by highlighting why owning a shop can be a great vehicle to creating jobs, stimulating the economy, and creating wealth. Here's our host, former machine shop owner himself, Paul Van Meter.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Machine Shop Mastery. Boy, do I have a fun conversation today. I got to sit down with Sven Klatt from Vineburg Machining in Nevada. And this is a fascinating story. Sven came to the U.S. Actually to learn English. He was an engineer, ended up working at this machine shop, and they were a very high volume, not Swiss, but like old screw machine type shop. 100 employees, doing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of parts for each part number, per year. And then their top three customers within a very short period of time all outsourced everything out overseas. And so their work volume just dramatically just plummeted. And they had to make a really massive decision about what to do about that. And they did something that I've never heard of any shop do before. They decided to sell the entire building, almost all the equipment, and move and rebuild and reinvent this shop in an entirely new lens. And so they did that. And then from out of that move, turned into a product that helped them run their machines more often to get more parts through the door. And that has subsequently turned into a partnership with Hennig, where these products are now on the market. It is a fascinating and winding journey that I feel for sort of a personal connection with, because obviously that's the story of ProShop. We designed something to solve a need that we had ourselves, and it turned out there was a commercial sort of market for that. But Sven is such a passionate guy. You can just tell in his voice and how he talks. I love how near the end of the episode, he talks about how he had to really realize that he was a massive bottleneck, and delegating and getting out of the middle of everything was such a crucial thing. So there's just so many takeaways from this episode. I know you'll enjoy it. So let's get into it with Sven. Sven, welcome to the show. It's nice to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. My pleasure. So I am super interested to dig into your story in Vineburg Machining. There's some parallels between you and me, I think, in your background. Started this shop and decided you needed to solve some problems for yourself in a different way. Just like I used to own a machine shop and we couldn't find some software, so we just built something for ourselves. But
hmm
anyway, we'll get into that part of it. But let's go back to the origin. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and the original founding story of Vineburg Machining.
Well, I'm Sven Klatt. I'm the general manager and the part owner of Vineburg Machining. I actually didn't found Vineburg Machining. I was my business partner, Gerd Poppinger Sr. He
Mm.
founded the business 49 years ago in Sonoma, California.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, in Sonoma has a little, spot, it calls Weinberg. And
Okay.
so that's kind of how we end up with Vineburg Machining. Originally, it was R&M Products, and when Gerd took sole ownership of the company, when all of his other partners retired, we renamed it to Vineburg Machining. So originally, we started with Acme screw machines and Brown and Sharp
Oh, wow. That's
equipment.
very different. That's
Yep,
very different.
and we would make millions and millions of parts a year. some very large lock manufacturer in the U.S. Probably the biggest lock manufacturer in the U.S. was our main customer at the time. I came to the United States in 1998 to learn English. I grew up in East Berlin, actually. I never had English in school, and
Okay.
became industrial engineer in Germany, working for Electrolux, and I needed to learn English for my career in Germany, and over multiple people, he knows somebody that knows somebody. I ended up in San Francisco, basically working for Vineburg Machining as an intern to learn English. I really didn't
Okay,
speak
very cool.
I didn't speak any English, and then after being a couple months here, I met a wonderful young lady and married her, and I'm still married. I'm in my 27th year now with her. So um, that's
Congratulations
kind
on
of
that.
that's kind of how I ended up staying in the United States. When
Uh-huh.
I came to Weinberg in '98, because of the three of our largest customers went to China, India, right around 2000, we had to completely reinvent our business. And
Mm,
the what we had to concentrate ourselves on was work that would never leave the United States. Military, some pharmaceutical, anything small quantities and complicated, right? That's usually
mhm.
the stuff that
Yeah,
that you still have challenges outsourcing overseas. And
sure.
in 2000, we had about 100 employees. Um, we lost
Wow, that's a big
huge,
shop.
yeah, it was a big shop. We lost three customers. All of them went overseas, all the same time period.
Oh gosh,
And so
that's
we had to make
brutal.
a decision, um, completely downsize, reinvent the wheel, go after the complicated work. By doing that, we evaluated, should we stay in California or should we leave? And we ended up deciding on Carson City, Nevada. We identified 17 key employees that we believed would be essential to moving Weinberg into the future. And we all moved up here. We sold all of our old equipment. We sold a building. We sold everything we didn't need. Bought a new building in Carson City. The money we got from the building and all the equipment we sold allowed us to buy some brand new CNC equipment. And then we went and kind of started kind of fresh, training ourselves, um, doing the stuff that was challenging. Going from making 150,000 to 5 million Acme screw machine parts to making one or two offs at the time with like some vertical milling machines and so that you kind of really train the whole company, right? So we bought a CMM. We hadn't had a CMM before, and then we bought a twin spindle lathe to kind of do more, uh, finish work on the lathe department, and then it kind of evolved slowly. I think the biggest jump in technology for us was when we bought our first five-axis mill. You know, I
Mhm.
always, as a machinist, you kind of like, I always wanted one. You can see all those cool YouTube videos of all the stuff that's you can do on a five-axis machine, and I always wanted one. We didn't have enough money, and so I had to kind of work my way to get down payment and loan, and then once I had one, it kind of like snowballed, like literally
Mm.
exploded. I had this prosthetic job. We would do on a four-axis machine, and we would have like, I don't know, 14 operations on this thing. There was so many different
Oh,
angles and
wow.
stuff. It was horrid. And so I'm like, I need to buy this machine, and we should really bite the bullet and get this thing. And then the Haas just came out with UMC 750, and I think I bought number 7 or something. And
Okay.
so I was like right there, and we got it. And then we had a big job for a really big truck manufacturer, United States' biggest truck manufacturer. And they came out to do a PPAP on-site quality inspection, and the QC lady said, "You got a 5-axis mill? I got a job for you." Right? And I'm like, "Whoa, what is it?" I was like, "Well, here I need it now." And so this is kind of where I have fun with. If somebody tells me I need something now, or it's not doable, or it's then I kind of, yeah, let's do this, right? So a week later, I had a 3-year agreement running this one power 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know,
Wow.
and then
That is
yeah,
fast.
yeah, that was wild. And then we got into PPAP. Um, so I bought a second mill. I bought literally a second mill. Like literally, I got that PO. I was secured for 3 years. I bought a second UMC. I don't know, number 15 or something, and
Mm-hmm.
it came in, and that literally was on the truck being delivered to Weinberg when we had that same customer visit to approve this previous job I just got. And the QC lady said, "You got a second one?" I was like, "Yep, it's right there. It's on the truck. You see it." And she said, "I got another job for you." Right? I was like, "Holy cow." And so I got another 3-year contract. And then I bought
That's amazing.
a third UMC. And so that's kind of how this all evolved. We always ran 3 shifts. We always ran, you know,
Even when you moved and with your 17 people,
yeah,
you tried to
yeah.
structure it with 3 shifts?
It's such a good, I mean, to be honest, 3 shifts gives you so much flexibility, especially if you want to take on jobs that are like a mad dash, you get it and it's already late. That gives you so much more flexibility. Yes, is it more complicated managing it with all the people involved, but I have done it now. I mean, Weinberg has done it now over 28 years. So, once you're in that realm, you really don't want to lose the graveyard shift or swing shift flexibility.
Mhm. So, can we talk about that for a moment? A lot of shops want to run multiple shifts, but they have a hard time finding people that want to work those off shifts. And even if they do, the communication between the shifts, the support of, making sure they can make forward progress and not, scrap a bunch of things or just get into this setup that just takes all shift and they end up having less progress by the morning time. Like, how have you been able to make that successful?
Yeah, it's always challenging, but at one point you find the right people, the right swing shift supervisor, the right graveyard shift supervisor. You learn as you go to communicate. We have big monitors in the shop where we're running. It's this, I don't know what, it's a software that I can go on my phone and upload stuff. Like, I'm come home late and I forgot to tell somebody something. I literally go on my cell phone and text and, put it in there, and then it runs on every screen in the shop,
Oh, nice.
stuff like that. But we also have, we're using group chats with
Yep.
everybody. We have whiteboards, and and yes, I remember my first swing shift crew I set up in 99 or something, and they called me because we had a thunderstorm and they couldn't turn the machine on. They never turned it on before because they always come on swing shift, right? I'm like, what the hell?
Mm.
And so I drove all the way back to the work and train, and then you have to kind of train. Weinberg is always believes in training, 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 training. I want to make all of my employees best equipped for whatever we throw at them. And I mean, we have in our conference room, we set up sometimes like programming sessions with new employees because they have done it differently than we do it. And I believe it's very important that all of my guys that program was set up kind of follow a united path. There's so many different ways of approaching a job, but if you kind of have a understanding of how my neighbor would do it or how would Sven do it, it is a lot better if you follow each other from swing shift to graveyard shift, from graveyard shift to day shift. And so that's kind of
I like that.
you learn, We have a very low turnover rate at Vineburg. That's something I'm really proud of. To be honest, I don't even know if we lost anyone in 2025. We're a family business. Everybody likes it here.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of how it goes. We all facing the same challenge, with employees, and there's nothing more frustrating for me than walking in the shop here on Sunday or Saturday afternoon, and there's like millions of dollars of equipment sitting here that doesn't make any money, right? So
Yeah.
so that, then you go and I bought a robot to run some of my mills, high volume parts, run all the time. That's a great little setup. They're not expensive. Then we started looking into pallet systems. I went to Germany, to Hannover Messe. I went to IMTS in Chicago, looking around, and you know, uh, we we've looked at some. Some of them are great, some of them are not so great, and we kind of, you know, wanted to make a decision on something. The one thing I always keep in mind is space. The one thing I don't have is space. I have 27 CNC machines here now, and the um, I hate spending money on building more space onto our building. I rather spend it on equipment, and then when you really look at the money, if I spend whatever add another 10,000 square feet to the building, that's a lot of capital expenditure, but I much rather uh, invest into running lights out. When you look at the average job shop, I think everybody runs 5 days a week. With some overtime, they may run swing shift, they might run graveyard shift, but most people leave the weekend on the table, and you got 52 weekends, 2 days uh, per weekend. That's 3 months of production you can basically utilize if you come up with a way of doing it. And I can't afford $1 million 5-axis machine with 120 pallets on it or something crazy. I mean, they make them. It's like, how do you justify a 1.2, $1.4 million equipment? The hourly rate you have to charge my to my customers would disqualify me from me ever getting a job again.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
we kind of, uh, I'm always thinking, I have folders with ideas, and I'm always like, what could we do? And I design all kinds of stuff for the shop, and, every fixture and everything, we want to always improve on what we have been doing. And, at one point, I did like some napkin sketches of like a pallet system that I would design if I would do it from scratch.
Mm.
And um,
So did you end up buying some pallet systems?
I ordered
And
I ordered one. Yes, I actually made a down payment. I put 65 grand down on a pallet system,
okay.
and they promised me something that I said, great. If that's what I bought, I wanted that option, and I don't want to get too deep in the detail of that. And they said, prove it to me before you ship it. And 6 months into it, they basically says, well, we can't do that.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I'm
Oh,
like, well,
brutal. Brutal.
that's not, then give
So
me
they
my
give
money
you your
back.
money. Yeah, I hope they give you your money back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would luckily, I mean, business people are usually pretty, you don't want to ruin their reputation or something. And they're good guys. I'm
Sure.
not saying that they're doing it. They have a great product. It just didn't fit what I wanted.
Hmm.
And so I basically had my 65 grand back, and I have a really smart friend. He is also from Berlin. He's from West Berlin. He lives in Reno, and he has
Oh,
a master's degree in machine tool design, and he's a genius. And
wow.
and and
Okay.
I'm
It's a nice friend to have.
yeah, and I worked with him for many years. We know each other, and so I'm like, hey, I got this napkin sketch. What do you think? I got 65 grand. Um, you have anything to do on the weekends and nights and stuff? And
Okay.
and it's like one of those things you like, does it work? We don't know. Um, and so we kind of, he's like, this could be something. This I think could really go places, and he's never interested in anything easy. You know, if it's not challenging, he won't touch it. And that's great.
That's
So
probably why you like him. Sounds like you too. Sounds like you're
well,
built that way.
he's the smarter one of us two, I would say. So,
Okay.
but no, it works perfectly. I mean, he really knows his stuff, and long history in machine tool design, and um so basically he looked at it, he ran it over in his head for a couple of weeks and months, and then it kind of went down like, hey, we should build a prototype. So we built that thing for, I think, like maybe a little more than 65 grand. We built it all here,
Wow.
nights and weekends, and we had it put together, put on a UMC. Um, I was very fortunate. I had a customer um, that ran like a very large corporation. He was engineering manager at a really, really big company. And I had him. I asked him to come into the shop and give me some feedback on like a Saturday or something. And
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, you know what, this could be really huge. Especially for the footprint we came up with, the capacity, and he gave us some great advice. And then we ran that thing. I mean, we ran the prototype for 2 years. We ran it
What?
hard. We
Yeah.
broke.
What year did you build that first one?
I would say about 4 years ago. I would say 4 years. Yeah.
Oh, like so 2022 or
Yeah.
something like that. Okay.
Yep.
Now, you had mentioned obviously you already had 3 shifts, so you're running. So were those 3 shifts on a 5-day work week?
Yeah. So they basically start Monday morning. That's where the crew starts, and it ends Saturday morning at 7. And then Saturday day shift, if we need overtime, would be from 6 in the morning to 12, and then Saturday swing shift would be from 12 lunch to 6 p.m. if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
And then
But that was all overtime of your normal
yes,
crew.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and
So you didn't have a permanent shift on the weekends, and so this
no,
was
we
a
had
way to
over
a way to get more time.
yeah over COVID we did, because we were so heavily involved in machining parts for testing equipment that we did literally have people here all the time. We rearranged a schedule that everybody got a day off, and then the rest of the week we had to work full time. So
Oh wow. Okay.
mm,
So even I imagine this is true, most people don't have, if your day crew is 20 people on the floor, your swing shift and night shift or whatever is, only 5 or 10. So you can't have a completely full shift. And so is this machine partly a way to just get more spindle time when you have a more of a skeleton crew that can't be running around loading machines all night long kind of thing?
yeah, the we have a fairly good mixture. Some of the projects we run, they're like hundreds and hundreds of parts by now. And the anytime the spindle runs, it benefits the business. No matter what you do. So sometimes the part mixture is not a lot of times that the machine shop owner can control, right? The customer gives you this order, and then all of a sudden, you always want the most orders with the largest quantities or the most efficient way of running things, but in reality, you get an PO with one piece of everything, and then they all do it the same day, and so it kind of works well if you have an easy job next to a complicated job, right? Where
Mhm.
while we set up the complicated one-off thing, that same person can also load an easy job that maybe runs like 20 minutes or an hour and a half, right? That would be like the perfect world.
Yeah.
But that's not always possible, right? People get sick, and then you have a machine sitting here because you just don't have enough humans to load parts, and so what the loader we have now allows us to be a lot more flexible. When we let's and you know how it goes. You get an order for 500 parts, and then you over scheduling yourself, right? You booking yourself a little bit much because
Right.
we all want to work, and you kind of need that flexibility to now run full 7 days of the week, and you just can't make your employees do it anymore because you've been stretching them too much already, and
Mm-hmm.
and so uh, with a pallet system, you much more flexible on that side of things. So
If you're looking to increase your spindle uptime without adding any headcount, check out the Hennig WorkFlow automation system. I've seen it. I love it. It's a compact, automated pallet delivery solution that lets you work ahead of your machine so your shop never stops. You can load up to 40 pallets with material, fixtures, programs, and just let the workflow cook. A Henning workflow is designed for high mix machining, works with a wide range of machines, and even with a 125-pound payload on top of a 300-millimeter pallet, yet still takes up less space than most competitors' pallet automation system. That means more production, fewer manual changeovers, really just a practical path to high profit, lights out machining. Learn more about Hennig Workflow by visiting hennigworldwide.com/workflow.
I'm curious to ask you about winning those high volume jobs, right? That's something that many shops want, but they don't necessarily know how to price it. So it's competitive, but they'll still make a margin on it. And obviously you talked about, you hate coming in and seeing millions of dollars of equipment sitting there idle. And if you can get past that, single 40-hour a week shift mentality and say triple that, right? That overhead burden of your building and your machines and your insurance and everything, that gets cut in a third, right?
oh
So if you
yeah.
if you had to charge, $60 an hour of burden rate, all of a sudden you can quote $20 an hour of burden rate, still make probably more profit on the job, be more competitive to your customer, and win that high volume contract. So I'd just love to hear you talk about how, it's like your quoting and estimating strategy for winning these high volume long term contracts.
uh the thing is that you wanna almost run a shop that there's no like surprises and no hiccups, right? So you know
That would be
the
nice. Yeah.
the when we were in the Acme screw machine world, we would quote jobs like 1.8 seconds,
Right.
3.9 seconds, that kind of thing, because you're beating yourself over the head for like pennies, and when you get into, the first thing I would say is the benefit we have. We at Weinberg Machining, we're probably the most stubborn people, and we never give up. I don't have a We don't have a job we don't complete. If I lose money on it, if it's challenging, if I have to remake it, it will get done. If we will always get it done, and that's our reputation we have with our customers.
Hmm.
We like the challenge. We take on stuff that sometimes I don't know how to do the parts. I quite honest, there's plenty of jobs we take just because, whoa, this looks pretty cool. We should really see how we can do this. And once you have some wins with that, right? So you take a job and you succeed, then you kind of you want more. It's like a drug addiction, right?
Hmm.
And we have some really amazing employees. Some of them, they would be like, "Oh, why did you even take this job? This is such a nightmare." And it's like, well, but once you master this one, you know, imagine how much you learn. I'm paying you to learn this, and I will never be upset with an employee if they screw the part up because it was just so challenging to get done.
Hmm.
And we all make mistakes. I make mistakes. Everybody does. And if we use it as a learning tool, then next time we're gonna be better off. And
Yeah, absolutely.
and so first thing for me always is prove to the customers that you worth it, right? Because you don't want to compete with dollar and cent. That's the one thing you don't want to do. You want to prove that you bring them value to their product. You and your history will prove you worthy, and without willing to take the risk to take the complicated jobs, it's gonna be challenging to get the high praise, high paying parts to come into your company. Is it stressful? Yeah. Like, look at me, I'm all gray. You know, uh, do you get sleepless night over it? Yeah. Does it cost money? Yes, it does. Is it, you know, do you have to go through the pain? 100%. Is you gotta the key is that you win more than you lose,
Hmm.
and and that if once you can get that into your key employees, then as a whole you're gonna be more successful, so
Hmm.
though,
I love it.
if you
That's
look
a
at if
great
you wanted
answer.
to go like into the pallet system thing, the one thing I had a customer for 20 plus years. They make operating tables and hospital beds and stuff like that. They have the same part mixture for 20 years. It's incredible. I can look up financial statements, and they're buying the same amount of parts, or with plus minus $5,000. I mean, it's like clockwork, right?
Wow. Wow.
And but they had challenging scheduling issues. They would buy 3 pieces in January, and then they buy 7 pieces in February, and then there was never like a consistent kind of a thing, right? So once we installed pallet system 2 and 3, the we asked for a meeting, and I went down there with since I have full familiarity about their pulp mixture, I went down there and basically said, you know what, I can set up everything you run for the year, and I won't charge you any difference running 5 in January and 14 in February and 2 in March, right? It's that kind of a
Hmm.
thing. And and basically by doing that, I just took the average, for the month. They'll save 10% on their overall, um, yearly, purchase cost to Weinberg
Hmm.
Machining, and of course they were like excited about this, right?
Absolutely.
And then on the same token, you're gonna go in there, and when you walk into the conference room, you want more work, right? So um, the condition was you're gonna have to double your purchase amount and do so. And you know what? They did. They did exactly what we suggested. We set up their jobs on the pallet system. The fixtures always stay. We never take it off. The first article is done. Um, they order some parts. We schedule it. We run it. We ship it, and it was a win-win for everyone, right? So um, you see, if you tie up one machine for one customer like that for the whole year, that's an amazing feat.
Absolutely. Yeah. Huh. So yeah, I love your strategy there. That's a serious takeaway for people. Um, so let's just back up and describe this pallet machine. I've seen pictures of it, but I don't know a whole bunch about it. Um, Sounds like it was originally designed to plug onto the side of a UMC 750.
Yep.
But just yeah, briefly describe how many pallets does it have? How does it work? How does it connect to the controller? Yeah,
Uh,
all that kind of stuff.
though basically I always wanted 40 pallets. That was my number one thing.
40 pallets.
40
Okay.
pallets.
What size, base do they have?
My bread and butter work size for everything we run here is mostly 99% is 12 by 12 by 12 inches. So
Okay.
what I wanted was 40 pallets with a work envelope of, a work piece that can be 12 by 12 by 12,
Okay.
and um, like a minimum of 100 pounds, uh, on the pallet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that was important to me. Space, as I mentioned earlier, is also very important to me. So the goal was 40 pallets on 40 square feet. That's what I wanted.
40 square feet.
Yeah,
Okay, like a 4 by 10 or some.
yeah. hmm
Okay.
40 square feet. Um, and for me, I had 10 UMC 750s at that time.
10.
They
Okay.
need to go on the UMC. We only had one that had the outer door already. The other ones, they were all the older style where there was just like a little window on the side. Um, so it had to fit. It had to fit to the side of the machine. That was another thing I wanted absolutely to have. I wanted the pallet system to be on the side of the machine. I absolutely hate it when they're coming through the front door. It's such a
Mm-hmm.
nuisance, like
Yeah.
you got to push the
Yep.
loader away to work on the machine, and like, okay. So that was kind of the original idea. Um, and when you look at all the competition out there, or all the people that build pellet system, most of them, they're by a industrial robot. They're
Mm-hmm.
uh, they're kind of using a race car to taking something from A to B and then B back to A. And it was always such a waste. I always looked at it as like, I got quotes for some, Fanuc robots that can load, 150 pounds, and they're such a large piece of equipment. And I used to integrate industrial robots in Germany, and I'm like, I can tie your shoes with that thing. Why do I need that for putting a pallet from the rack to the machine and then back? It
Right.
never really that never really was a thing that I liked. And then there is such a space factor because they're kind of working on a radius function, right? This
Yeah.
whole robot has to rotate,
And you
right?
don't need all those degrees of freedom. You just
Yeah,
need some linear motion.
exactly. And they're like, man, there got to be a better way of doing this, so to get to 40 square feet, you have to come up with a different solution. There's no way, there's not going to be, unless you're going with smaller pallets, like 10 pallets, there's 6 by
Mm-hmm.
6 or something. But that's not really where most of the 5-axis work lays, is in the 10, 12 by 12 range.
Yeah.
And so that's how we got where we have right now, so.
Okay. And so is it 4 levels of 10, or what's the arrangement off the side of the machine?
Well, we got 20 pallets in front and 20 pallets in the back. So
Oh, okay.
there's full
So
access
there's
doors in the front, in the back, and then we have on the side, we have like a loading station that allows us to basically load the parts,
mm-hmm.
conveniently for the operator to load fixtures and whatever. Um,
Got it.
yeah.
And then does it just plug into the machine control? Uh,
Yeah, so every machine manufacturer has a little bit thing. So we did it on a Haas control first, and we had zero support. Um, so we had to
just
figure it out on a.
figured it all yourself. Yeah.
Yep. Lots of nights and weekends, and we were very fortunate. We found a master's degree student at the local university that uh, through friends and family we got a hold of, and he needed some money on the side, and we like, hey, can you help us figure out this connection to that computer from our computer? And so he was like, sure, we can do this. And a lot of head scratching, and we done plenty of stupid stuff with that loader, running through the side of the door, and we really had to learn.
Right.
And that's great. I think that's the most important thing. Make a lot of mistakes, before it goes anywhere. So
So you had for the machines that didn't have an auto door, did you buy that feature from Haas, or did you design your own thing that
we design our
moves
own
the
thing.
door?
Yeah, we
Okay.
design our own thing. It's that machine model, the original UMC 750, actually didn't have an option to have this outer door.
Mm,
So we had
okay.
to relocate the control. We had to open it up that we can fit 12 by 12 sight through it, and we have an amazing sheet metal shop down the street from us. We just did it from scratch. If
Okay.
so,
And so you had 10 UMCs at the time.
yeah.
Have you put it on other machines
Well,
since
we
then,
had
or?
so last 2025. So after we've completed the prototype, we ran the prototype for 2 years straight, like nonstop. We literally ran it hard. We wanted to break as much stuff on it as we can possibly figure out what would break, right? And so in all that, in that 2 year time period, Tilo went and completely redesigned it to be much more production ready. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as much as I have to say that removing machine parts is a good thing. It's a good thing for the product. It's a bad thing for the machine shop. But to cut cost out, you got to go to sheet metal, and you got to really design it to be easy to
Yep.
be assembled, and it has to fit in a shipping truck, and it needs there's all those things you got to think through, and so February 15th of 2025, we put 2 production-ready machines on 2 additional UMC 750s here at Vineburg.
Okay, the
Um,
new model.
the new model,
Yep.
and that was literally the way we envisioned it, the way we thought the assembly would go and everything, and we put them together here at Vineburg. We weekends and
Mm-hmm.
nights, and it went really smooth. We know every screw of that thing, and then we start running it. So we start running it on 2 UMCs. At the time, our software engineer, we let him actually have full freedom of how the interface with the human would look like.
Oh
You know,
wow. Okay.
yeah, we wanted it to be, when you have a 10-year-old or 12-year-old kid and you give it a cell phone, they know immediately what to do, right? It's like they touch
Right.
it, they go through it. Like, I'm already old. I have to ask my daughter sometimes to get
Sure.
stuff, right? And so we told them this is what we wanted. That's what we're doing. I did all the actual motion. So anything that's the loader does physically, all the movements, I program all of that. But the scheduling and all the different human interface stuff, that's all done by our software engineer Joey. He's an amazing young person, and so he kind of did the whole interface. He came up with a tablet. We running the unit with, and so since February 15, now today is February 19, we almost did like 3,000 hours with that loader on each machine. So and then I want to always analyze, okay, how many hours did we run lights out? How many hours did we run during the day shift?
Mm-hmm.
What jobs took how many hours? Because it's also good to know for future requoting of jobs, what part number was able to
Sure, of
run
course.
47 hours straight, and so I tell him something and he just goes with it. That's like the most amazing thing. It's like, I want a button here, and he's like, well, that's not gonna work. And then 2 days later, he's like, here's your button. And
Nice.
so I'm uh, like I said, he's done a great job with that, and so we've been running 2 loaders now for 1 year, and each loader has roughly about 3,000 hours of production time on it. Though that's 6,000
Mm-hmm.
hours we did with a loader, with both
Mm-hmm.
loaders, and not all of it is lights out,
Mm-hmm.
but since we still learned and we updated the software and we did a bunch of testing and everything else, about approximately half of the hours we ran with the loader was in the weekends and at night.
Hey guys, it's Nick from Making Chips, and I just wanted to tell you, if you're looking to push your shop forward this year, you need to be at the DN Solutions Manufacturing Without Limits event. That's where I'll be at the DN Solutions Chicago Tech Center May 5th and 6th, and I'll be standing next to a lights out monster, a DVF 5000 with a Hennig WorkFlow feeding the beast. And they're running more than 15 other machines live on the floor, not just demos, live cutting too. Plus, you'll have expert-led seminars, automation insights, and the chance to talk directly with engineers and other manufacturers solving the exact same challenges you have. And they're making it easy. Breakfast and lunch are included both days, so you just show up and focus on learning. If you want to see what's possible for your shop, this is the place. Register now at the link in the show notes or visit dn-solutions.com. That's dn-solutions.com.
I'd love to dig into the impact. So just remind us, how many machines do you have? How many people on the different shifts? And
So I
then
got
how many have the loaders on them?
well, right now we have 3 machines with loaders on them. 3 UMCs have basically loaders on them. I have 36 employees, and about 30 of them are actually in production.
Okay,
So the rest is, QC, and
sure.
actually maybe a little less, 28 in production.
Okay.
Um, so we have like,
And how many on days and the other two
I got
shifts?
3 people on graveyard shift and 6 people on swing and the rest on days. So,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah. So not, if every machine was just manually loaded, it's tough to keep all those spindles turning with
yeah,
a skeleton crew.
the goal always is the day shift has the job to make sure that every machine is set up before they go home. And then
Got it.
on swing shift, we run the stuff that's already set up. That way,
Mm-hmm.
because we have the QC, the full QC staff here during the day, and some of the stuff we do, it's so complicated that the QC time outweighs actually the time it takes to make the part. And so
Yeah, I could
it's,
believe that.
yep,
Yeah.
and it's very important. And then some of the parts we're running, we need to have customer approval before we can even make the second part, and
Mm-hmm.
um, every time you machine something that's like $37,000 a piece, you better have everything checked and checked and checked.
That's an expensive part.
Mm,
$37. Wow.
yeah.
So yeah, the whole idea of setting it up during the day and let it run at night. I mean, that's what Nick talks about all the time on his podcast, Lights Out, right?
Yep.
Is
Hmm.
use that daytime, that staff time where you have your best people, and then yeah, set it up. So obviously, UMCs don't have vast tool libraries, so you probably have to really standardize your machining approach and what you're using for roughing and finishing and different tap sizes and all that. So just maybe talk a little bit about some of that and the things. You could have the loader could run all day long, but you have to have tools, coolant's got to work, chip management. What have you learned in those other areas?
Well, there's definitely a learning curve with everything. The benefit you have with, so we got 10 UMCs, right? And so you can really plan the stuff through because, we're running, half of the parts we're running is aluminum, you know,
Okay.
and then we do a lot of defense parts for anything that flies or blows up in the sky, right? So there's
Mm-hmm.
very similar parts. You really have a fair similarity from some part to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we developed our own dovetail system. So we have so many dovetail fixtures here. Over the years, we just we have a job coming up. We make 40 dovetail holders for this specific dovetail we need to hold a part. And so you kind of, after years and years and years of doing it, you have this catalog of fixturing here that's like, it's massive, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have folders on our server where every fixture we ever designed is there. Like you can import it super easy into your CAM software, and you can group, some of the machines we group just for stainless, some of the machines we grouped
Mm-hmm.
for aluminum, some just titanium, and so what that allows you to do is, number one, setting up a job doesn't mean that you have to pull all the tools back out and put new tools in, right? If you can grab that tool library and it's a good fit for the next part you're running, then you're kind of on your way. Mostly all the government parts have SDI tapped holes. There's
Mm-hmm.
very
Yep.
rare that they don't get inserts. Most of them get inserts. So many times you get lucky. Everything is, 440 SDI, 1032 SDI, blah, you put a couple tabs in
Mm-hmm.
there. And yes, most of the UMCs we have only 40 tools. So it can get a little bit sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
But there's ways to work around it. Again, if now they're offering 120 tools and there's other machine tool manufacturers we looking into utilizing their 5-axis machines. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not the end of the world. It's really not that,
Hmm.
so having 40 tools. Now, there's other things you learn. Like we measure every tool after it's used to make sure that, you have to verify that the parts you're making at night or when you're not here, that they're actually good. So the only way we can do it right now on a Haas, with the older Haases anyway, that we measure the tool after it's used.
Is that a touch or laser
Yep,
probe
touch,
system?
just a
Okay.
touch. Some
Yep.
of them we touch the diameter, some of them we touch the length. Just verifying. Some
Mm-hmm.
jobs we know the tool life we can expect, so we put like 5 roughers on that thing or something, right? And
Oh, wow. Okay.
and you get experience with it. If you're running Hastelloy over the weekend, well, you better put in enough roughers that it's gonna make it through it.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, if and so you kind of learn. It's like the first thing what was really frustrating is I have this Haas app, on your phone,
Mm-hmm.
and you leave Saturday at lunch because you want to go home a little early, and you're not even all the way home, and you look on the app and it says tool measurement fault or something, and then you're like, what the hell? You drive back, right? And then you do that 3 times on the one Saturday. Then you like you have set up a camera in there to see why is this tool measurement faulting, and then you learn that there's water dripping onto it, right? So, and then you're like, okay,
Oh, okay.
we have to have the tools perfectly dry. And then so we created the air blow.
You need an air blast. Yeah.
Yep, we created an air blow that basically there's no way water can fall onto the tool
Mm-hmm.
measurement unit while it's measuring it. The first time I ran steel with the loader, that was such a weird steel. It magnetized like crazy. Like,
Oh boy.
uh,
So sticking to things.
yeah. So I came to work, and like there was like it looked. There's some children toys where you have all the stuff sticking up, like this. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then you got to figure that one out, and so
Huh.
it's certainly sometimes frustrating, but it's very rewarding once you solve those issues, and
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
and at this point we're running everything. I mean, we're running titanium, stainless, Inconel, you name it. We if I have anything that I can run when I go home, we go for it.
Or so are you going to be putting more units on more of your UMCs?
Yeah, we gonna get 2 more right away. It's always set in stone that we're gonna get that
Mm-hmm.
done. Hopefully by May, June they're here.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so my graveyard crew has been with us for a long time. The 2 of those employees, they have been at Weinberg before I came to Weinberg. And
Oh, wow.
my youngest graveyard employee is like 67 or something.
Oh,
So
interesting.
and
Wow.
that
Okay.
generation is extremely reliable. I mean,
Right.
you know, uh, they come to work if they have whatever, they have an oxygen tank on their back, they will be at work, you
They'll
know.
do.
And but
Amazing.
but the writing is on the wall, and as much as I appreciate my graveyard shift and I love them and they always work. Uh, eventually they deserve to not be here, and they should.
Absolutely.
And so
Yeah, they need
we
to retire at some point.
exactly, and it's like, uh, and so we kind of want to be ready. I always want to be ready on my terms.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, if I put 2 more loaders on now, that would bring us to 5 loaders, then uh, I actually outproduce the benefit of having 3 people on graveyard shift. You know,
Mm-hmm. Right.
um, I mean, I always run the numbers. Like even when you look at Saturday overtime, an average for the year, each Saturday running overtime would cost me $3,600.
Wow.
And then you sometimes have to ask, well, did you actually make money on that Saturday, or did you just do it to get a customer off your back because you're late or something, right?
Yeah,
And
sure.
but in the end of the day, we're responsible to our business to make money. And if you can produce lights out, you're gonna be better off.
Mm-hmm.
And if are you gonna lose a couple parts here and there? Yeah, you will. Um, Aluminum is cheap, if you start with like easy materials,
Mm-hmm.
and but most of the time you win.
In manufacturing, growth isn't accidental, it's engineered. But a lot of suppliers are still building their pipeline on outdated lists, inconsistent follow up, and hope based marketing, hoping their website will somehow bring in leads. Gabe Draper, the founder of Factor, knows that struggle. Years ago, he ran a shop that went bankrupt, not because of quality, but because he didn't have a steady way to generate new opportunities. That experience is what led him to build Factor. Factor helps suppliers create consistent sales opportunities by combining targeted outreach with marketing that puts you in front of the right buyers. Their team finds the right companies, starts real conversations, and sets qualified meetings. So if your pipeline swings with referrals or seasonality, Factor brings a system that puts you back in control. And for listeners of this show, Factor is offering a free custom report that highlights the best opportunities in your industry, plus a list of real companies that match what you do. Request yours at factormfg.com/chips. That's FACTUR mfg.com/chips. So what then happened from the time where you built the prototype and then built, the two new redesigned units? Like what's happening with the units now?
So you know, my my business partner Thilo and I, the Germans are very conservative, right? So we don't go to show anyone until we feel comfortable that this is gonna work. So we said we're gonna run that. We run those two loaders for 6 months straight. We're gonna have my employees break that thing as much as possible. And once we completed with that 6 month period, we're gonna start talking to potential partners because we're not the ones that wanted to ever run around and sell it. We're not the ones
Mm-hmm.
that
Sure.
wanted to actually put it together. The fun for Tilo and I
Mm-hmm.
is coming up with the new thing.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know, we uh, we want to build the next version. We want to build a smaller version. We want to build a version with a CMM in it. We want to, we have all those ideas, and if I have to focus on, oh, my powder coating supplier powder coated this now red instead of blue, then it's kind of wasting my time, right?
For
And
sure.
once the product is designed and it's designed well, you should be able to hand that task off to the people that do that well, right? You can't hold on to everything. And that's what I learned many years ago. If I want to control every aspect of something, I will not be successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I I I used to program every job in this company. I used to program the CMMs. I used to do way too much stuff. And then once you're getting a little bit wiser and you realize you becoming the bottleneck of things, you gotta let go. You gotta let go.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna say, okay, you the QC manager, you figure it out. You the milling department manager, it's up to you. I gotta focus on what's important for the whole. And once you get to that point and the people really their main goal is to support the owner, then you will see like it's shocking how much more you can get done, and so the same philosophy we had with the loader. And when we were ready, you want to partner with someone that has every machine tool manufacturer's phone number in their cell phone, right? You want to go with
Right.
You don't want to reinvent the wheel. I don't want to beat the bushes on every, OEM. And so what do you do? You go and find um, a partner that has a great name, has a great reputation, has the foot in the door to everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
when you look around a machine shop, and I'm in multiple machine shops. We have friends in competition. We all see each other's shops, and you look in there, and what you always see is accessories, right? So who makes accessories for our machine tool
Right.
manufacturers? And then
Sure.
you look at Hennig was one that's kind of stood out because they make conveyors for like everyone. They make
Yep.
enclosures, they make high pressure coolant pumps. I mean, they're really kind of like in that kind of a realm that lends itself to partner with, right?
Yeah. I was
And
just at a shop last night for an event, and we're getting a shop tour, and there was a Hennig chip conveyor right on this DN Solutions machine, and
yep,
like, yeah, it's right there, right in your face.
so we were ready, and I don't know, 6 months into it, we knew who we wanted to partner with. It sounds silly, but you would think you get like 10 guys, 10 people who gonna kind of look at this product, and
Mm.
there would they all kind of like compete with each other, and you see, because we needed money. I mean, honestly, we to get this to the market, you need money, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so that's another really important aspect of having a partner. So we said we're ready. I knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody, and
Okay.
we literally told them, okay, we want to show this to somebody at Henning, and through three corners, we got a 30-minute conference call. So you got your opportunity right there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I made a PowerPoint, did the whole spiel. I presented it. The one thing they were missing in their entire product lineup was a pallet system, and they
That's
have
kind of
everything
perfect.
else. They
Yeah.
have everything they have, from CNC monitoring to vices to high pressure coolant, and you name it, they got it all, right? But they
Yeah.
don't have a pallet system, and so they were the
Kind of
perfect
perfect. Yeah, it's
perfect
kind of
target,
perfect. So when did your mindset shift from this is a great tool for ourselves to this is potentially something we could sell? Was it when that friend that works at a very big company when he came, or did you already have the idea that maybe?
It happened. I'm a very lucky person. I'm always feel very lucky, right? So I got the prototype installed, the first one we ever built, and a really large defense contractor came to us and said, I need 400 of those assemblies. And I'm like, whoa, that's, 3 hours apart, and there's 6 parts in an assembly. You do the math, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
a huge job. Uh, and I'm like, this is I just put this pellet system in. How much luckier could I get, right? So we tooled up like 25 pallets on this one part. I mean, and the nice thing is the fixturing is all plate work.
Mm-hmm.
So all the fixturing for the first operation at least were lend itself to be all in the same fixture, and
Yeah.
and we start running this thing, and it was like, holy moly! I mean, we could ship more parts in a week than we used to do in like 3 weeks, right? And I'm like, and we just I just start crunching the numbers. I'm like, oh, this is insane. This machine just keeps running, and the tools aluminum, it was all plate work,
Mm-hmm.
it lasting forever. And matter of fact, the quality of the parts have massively improved because there's like the operators have a lot more time loading the part,
Mm.
right? They're not under the
Yep.
gun. They have this 1 minute to load this part. No, they got 10 minutes. They can go to the bathroom. They can get coffee. They can do anything in between. They can verify that they loaded the part correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, 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 and all of that all of a sudden was like, we've never finished this job in such a short time period. And that's when I realized I think we onto something much bigger than just making a little prototype for Vineburg Machining, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so and of course, my friend that was at the time at this really big company, he was like, "This is actually pretty cool. I think you guys really came up with some great idea." but then the two production units we put in place, that really kind of solidified that it really works.
Right.
And I mean, I just recaptured all of the money, just like literally last week, just to see where we stand after 1 year of production. Each loader was paid for in the first year.
Right. Yeah. It's a good
So,
ROI.
hmm that's, and
That can
that's,
be a game changer for a business,
oh, 100%.
which historically, it's historically very slim margins in the machining industry, especially if you're doing that high mix, lower volume work. It's just brutal all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's impactful. That's super cool. Um, well, what a story. I guess, to sort of bring it back full circle, I mentioned when we first started recording, there's some similarities here. I started a machine shop in 97 right out of college with some buddies, and, as we grew and we needed some better way to organize our jobs and quote things and manage our setups and our cutting tools and inspections, we built some spreadsheets, and that was the easiest. We had Excel. It was just
Yep.
like free to create things. And then when we outgrew that, it was just becoming too cumbersome. We went out and tried to find some software to replace our Excel sheets, and there was just nothing out there that did all the things that we were already doing with our Excel. Fixture management, cutting tool management, inspections, inventory. Like they did some things in the office, and then they want you to pin a paper traveler and
Yep.
bring a whole bunch of other papers from other things. And so, we hired a guy to just replace our spreadsheets, but we had no intentions of ever selling it to anyone else. It was just a tool for ourselves. But it wasn't until we had this big customer come and see it, and they're like, "Wow, this is better than what we run our company on." And we're
Yeah.
like,
Well,
"It
yeah.
it is?
hmm
Like what?" So,
Yep.
yeah, that then our mindset shifted, and we actually installed it in their company, and you know, lots of years later, we sold the shop and went full time, and it's we chose to, not stay in the business, not keep the machine shop. We felt like we couldn't, you know, um, do both. And so rather than, partnering with an ERP company or something, but I'm thinking, for a physical product like you're making, that's probably a better option than starting to build a machine building company from scratch,
Yeah.
and sell the shop.
I I to be honest, I like to be testing what we built, and then
Sure.
testing it in like real life environment. And like we have one loader we purposely haven't cleaned since we installed it. I like
I
literally
love it.
it's
Because
you
that's
gotta,
going to happen. That's going to happen.
yeah, it needs to be, see, the we running our machines hard, we running them like all the time, and you got to find where their stuff breaking, and especially
Hmm.
coolant and air environment and all that good stuff, it can have impact on seals and energy chains and you name it, cables. And
Hmm.
um if I hate to go and sell something, or even have my name associated with it, and then it's not a long lasting
Yeah. Excellent
product,
product. Yeah.
and every machine shop needs to pay attention to finances, and for my point of view, uh, it replaces free employees, or it really doesn't replace them, but it adds free employees to your company, right?
Right.
We have not let go of any single person at Vineburg because we added the loaders. What it allowed me to do is to just give my customers more capacity.
And
And
yeah, increase your
and
revenue, spread out your overhead
yeah,
costs per part number.
yeah, and we have some very young employees. They can now go Saturdays and watch their kids at soccer practice. Um,
Amazing.
they have a doctor's appointment, or we have a snow day today. One of my key guys is not here today, but that's fine because both loaders are fully running right now. And that's totally cool,
Hmm.
and And that's a flexibility that I always wanted to have, and uh, that you don't have to stress. I remember back in the day when I ran, high production work for car manufacturing. I would have to call a temp agency to bring bodies in at like, 7:05 when somebody called in sick or something, because we couldn't
Oh
find enough
boy.
employees. And
Right.
today I got a text at 6:15. Hey, I'm so sorry, but my kids have snow day. I'm on come in. And I was like, okay. And he's like, well, everything is scheduled to run all day, so you won't have an issue until they need to reload parts on the swing shift. I was like, perfect, right? Um,
Awesome.
you know,
So awesome. Very cool, Sven. So, yeah, let's share with people how they, if they want to connect with you about Vineburg, where would they do that? And then I guess if they're interested in learning more about this unit, they would talk to Hennig, or how does that work?
yeah, Hennig is the key. So
Okay.
Vineburg Machining. If you Google it, you find us. Sven at Vineburg.biz. BIZ it's my direct contact. Sales at Vineburg.biz is it gets to multiple people who will respond. Hennig the loader. If you look up Hennig WorkFlow, uh,
Okay.
all the marketing material is available on our website, and um, there's plenty of stuff. Titan of CNC has one in his showroom, and
Oh, that's cool.
there's other. I think the Hennig guys did an amazing job of throwing it out into the world, and they're the ones that would be contacted for any whatever sales and
Okay.
information about it, and they're much better at it than I am. So
Yeah. All right. So Vineburg.biz, that's your website.
mhm.
Yeah, and Hennig.com, I presume. But super cool. Well, thanks for sharing your story. I mean, what an amazing journey you've had, from that original very high volume, 100 people, millions of parts, to that massive pivot, and I'm sorry you obviously went through that period where everything was being offshored out of, it was such a rough time in the industry, but obviously it was it was an opening to a new door that's turned into something that's pretty fantastic. So you clearly made the
Exactly.
best out of it.
Is you can put your head in the sand, or you're gonna get stronger afterwards, right? So and
Yeah.
to be honest, if it's always cake by the ocean, how much fun is that? So
That's true.
you're gonna have to have some challenges, and out of those challenges, you usually come more successful. So
Yeah. A great way to wrap it up. Well, Sven, thank you again for being on the show today. I appreciate you sharing your story with us.
well, thank you for having me.